Hello, I'm Fred. Welcome to this particular video where I will be talking about RWBY Grimm Eclipse. If you are new to the channel, I'm glad that you found us. If you are a returning viewer, I'm glad that you're back. On July 27th of this year, we've done another playthrough of this particular game. Longtime viewers of the channel know I first played the Steam version back in I want to say it was like 2017, 2018, somewhere there's about, and so we played it uh, over at least a dozen times between on stream between the Steam version and the Xbox version, which I started playing in 2020. Prior to the July 27th playthrough, which we did completely only as Weiss, the last time I played RWBY Grimm Eclipse was in the spring of 2022, 2023, somewhere. It's been a long time since I dedicated time, designated, gave a night directly to it. This is a game that has a lot of replay value. Number one, there are achievements for completing the story campaign with each individual character, and we're not just talking about the Ruby, Yang, Blake, and Weiss. For example, that also relates to Jean, Pyrrha, uh, Ren, and Nora, Team Juniper, which are DLC characters. So going through the campaign at bare minimum 8 times with each individual character, and every character has a very unique play style. Matter of fact, the Team Juniper characters are very different in comparison to the Team Ruby characters, especially with big. Let's be honest, there, Jean does not have a ranged weapon. He has to get in close and fight with his sword and shield, which puts him at a distinct disadvantage in comparison to, say, Weiss, who is without question, as I discovered in my place in this particular playthrough, um, she she has incredible range, which makes her almost untouchable when playing solo, beginning to end. Uh, Now, this game is was considered like barely canon before, but was made officially canon thanks to, of all things, the RWBY Justice League crossovers, where Doctor Moreau was the villain, the antagonist of this particular game, was directly mentioned. So there's that. It does fit in like somewhere, obviously before Pyrrha's death during the fall of Beacon. This takes place very fairly early in the RWBY timeline. One thing that is to this game's great credit, every character is fully voiced. So you have all 8 playable characters. They all have voice lines. They all have unique dialogue. That if you're playing in a group or playing solo, really affects like your playing experience. And speaking of that, this game is best when you can actually play with a group, whether with randos or with friends online. The multiplayer, especially on the Xbox side, does still work. But if you're looking to play with randos, with random people, you are kind of like almost SOL, because this is such a small title and a niche title at that. Um, your best bet is to try and get some friends to purchase the game and set up a playthrough, multiple playthroughs, to get everything that you want done and accomplished. Um, Getting back to it, with all the characters being fully voiced, you have the other characters, Dr. Malone, the villain, Ozpin, Professor Port, and Dr. Oobleck, all have voice lines, all contributing to the story of sorts. So it all works out. It's a very immersive experience. Um, So if you are a Ruby fan, this does play like an episode or a mini episode arc, depending on how you want to divide it up with the amount of dialogue and everything that takes place. If you can get a full team of four together, there are three achievements designated to different combinations of the teams. So get like there's an achievement for playing as everybody where four people are playing as all four members as Team RWBY. Uh, an achievement for everyone playing as Team Juniper. And then there's the Team Ranger achievement, which is Ruby, John, Pyrrha, and Ruby, Jean, Ren, and Nora, which was as well. So again, different combinations definitely works out to different very much a different experience. Um, the game is fairly short. You can the solo run. Granted, I had a bit of advantage, prior knowledge of playing it, as well as having Weiss already at level 10, with all of my preferred abilities for her unlocked, and um, but then a typical playthrough should like take about 3 to 5 hours on average, depending on who you playing as and the different setups, of course. Let's see. Music. The music of the game, the soundtrack does definitely feel like a Ruby episode, where like you have like a nice little subtle backing track when you're wandering around the area. So then the music kicks in for the action sequences. A lot of times you're facing like hordes of enemies. And one thing it is, if you play in this game with a group or if random people are joining you, more enemies will attack you. So there is that scaling difficulty based on the amount of players that are playing at any individual time. Um, Now again, on this particular playthrough, I had an easy time going straight through. As a matter of fact, I didn't suffer a defeat until the very, very end, when I wasn't paying attention to the last horde wave before the final boss against the mutant Deathstalker. And the mutant Deathstalker fight is a glorified pain in the ass because of the uh, enemies that keep popping up that are there essentially to exist for you to build up your ultimate, to try and time it to use it on the mutant Deathstalker at the very end. The worst part of this game is the the mutant Deathstalker fight in and of itself. Especially if you're playing solo, it is a real pain in the ass. And matter of fact, I'm not even sure if it's possible to do that solo with John, considering he does not have he does not have ranged weapons to try and defend himself or to try and attack at a fair distance. This is where it says like, would I play this game again? The answer is yes, because there is still so much to do. It is a very fun game. And again, if you are a Ruby fan, you will definitely get a lot out of this, especially with direct references to stuff, and some of the locations that you do visit, which played a big part in the early years of when Ruby was gaining its popularity. So, but I do want to draw a direct comparison to the other Ruby game that also came out in more recent years in 2022, and that was RWBY Arrowfell. I messed around with that on the same night as this. Matter of fact, uh, do, 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 do. There we go. So we're getting a little bonus here. Uh, RWBY Arrowfell, it's cute, and everything. It's like it has a great artwork design and so forth. but comparing it to RWBY to Grimm Eclipse, it's like it's really night and day, and I'm not sure what they were thinking in making Arafel a single player experience. Granted, you can rotate between all four characters pretty easily, but it is a platformish Metrovania RPG that uh, lacks in a lot of ways. There are animated cutscenes, which are pretty cool, but at which are fully voiced and look like they were done by the production team that worked on RWBY before the WB studio shut down. The WB Discovery shut down Rooster Teeth. But the individual dialogue and stuff that takes place when you come across NPCs and stuff are not voiced. But the dialogue is written in a way to capture the personalities of the individual characters as such. But again, I really think this Arrowfell, in terms of its context and story, it's more of an RPG, a straight up of being an RPG, but it lacks in some ways in comparison to RWBY Grimm Eclipse. I will talk more about Arrowfell when I get around to eventually playing it beginning to end, to give it a proper evaluation. But just thought I'd toss that in there since I played both games on the same night, because my Saturday night streams tend to run for 5 hours, and I needed to fill in some time there. So with all that said, that wraps up this particular little commentary video. Thank you very much. Tighten your friendship bracelets, stay safe, like, comment, subscribe if you're so inclined, and we'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.